Halo the Master Chief Collection is currently undergoing yet another comeback. Steam population has climbed to the highest it's been in over 4 years, and the Xbox population is dominating not just Halo Infinite, but Destiny as well.
Ironic.
It's clear that classic Halo continues to weather the storm of the ages like the proudest, most perfect statue in all of history. This comeback though isn't solely down to the games, but also the continued output from Halo's thriving mod community. A community that's thriving so much, in fact, that they just held their very own version of E3 for Halo mods, the official 2025 Halo Mod Showcase, debuting over 100 minutes of brand new and also soon to be releasing modding projects. MCC mods are one of the primary reasons this collection of masterpieces continues to be the most relevant Halo game of the modern era. The output from the community vastly outweighs any and all official Halo content at this point, and today, for the first time in a little while actually, we are going to be diving into their finest selection of creations. Beginning with a really interesting Halo 3/Halo 4 hybrid open world experience, Evergreen by SpaceZ. So Evergreen is built in the Halo 4 engine, but is comprised almost entirely of ported Halo 3 assets, weapons, enemies, vehicles, marines, etc. And I gotta say, in Halo 4's engine, they all look incredible. The level itself is a totally open world free roam experience on a comfy Evergreen island, of course on a Halo ring. You spawn in a beam tower, arm up, and then start fighting off waves of Covenant before being reinforced by Marines, where you're then given free reign of a variety of vehicles to then explore the island with. And I gotta say, this island is pretty damn gorgeous. Firstly, the Halo Ring vista off in the distance is beautiful. It really does look quite realistic, I gotta say. The lighting in certain areas is amazing too, especially in some of the glades where the god rays are breaking through the trees. And then also the draw distance is really high as well, so if you get high up, you can really observe the rest of the island from afar. There isn't a ton on the island. There's a few scattered outposts of Covenant, some sniper towers, a few other beam towers that you can even see off in the distance as their beams fly into the sky, and then also pelicans that come in to reinforce you with more marines wherever you are on the map. But I just wanted to mention this one briefly early on because of how different it is to really any other mod that I've played so far, and also because of what Zed has got planned for it. Working with another modder, Jordan Spartine, he's had him model a blind wolf that's going to be added. He's also scripted an entire economy system, kind of like zombies, where you get points for kills that can then be exchanged for weapons, vehicles, squads, etc. And also, he's going to be adding some kind of squad commands to direct your marines as well. This mod is also something of a proof of concept / tech demo for a brand new mod tool made by Crisp, who was the guy that made that Halo 3 Zombies mod years ago, that among many things is apparently going to allow for much easier creation of large scale levels like this. So hopefully, in the near future, we start seeing some real good stuff coming from that mod, because I know Crisp is something of a Halo modding genius, so I expect to see good things coming from that. Zed's also working on Halo Reborn, which is that insanely high quality looking classic Halo themed reboot project as well, which I gotta say, I'm pretty excited for. But for now, go and have a drive around Evergreen and take in the comfy vibes of this beautiful island. Right, next up is a quite iconic and rather long-running MCC mod that is about to receive its biggest and most comprehensive update yet. The Battlefront Pack, which has been ported to the Reach engine, massively expanded upon, and is releasing tomorrow. The Battlefront Pack is made by a whole team of modders that you can see on screen right now, and, well, as for what it is, it's pretty obvious. It's a full recreation of Star Wars Battlefront in Reach's engine that also includes some Halo assets as well to make it really feel like that authentic Halo Star Wars crossover. Everything from the maps, Geonosis, Scarif and Tatooine, and the weapons, to the clone and droid models, the Star Wars vehicles, and even the sound effects. This is as authentic as a Halo Star Wars crossover could ever be. But it gets better. They've even added fully functioning space battles complete with dogfighting in clone and droid ships, and even shipboarding. just like the simulations. And thanks to Reach's pre-existing space combat mechanics, it looks, frankly, incredible. Genuinely, this looks like it was made by a AAA developer. This looks like some weird alternate timeline where Microsoft licensed the Blam engine out to Lucasfilm to make a Star Wars game. This truly is the Battlefront 3 that we always deserve, but don't worry, it goes a step further as well. They even added Covenant AI to some of the maps that you can mess with in Customs and Forge. The guys working on this mod have been working on it for quite some time. I played the Halo 3 version quite a few years ago, and that alone was awesome. This is in another stratosphere. The Battlefront Pack really is the ultimate Star Wars Halo crossover, and once again, it's releasing tomorrow on the Steam Workshop. So watch those wrist rockets and go and download it when it releases. So if, like me, your knees ache, you get lower back pain, and you now officially qualify for a veterans discount, then, well, you might remember an old, famous Halo urban legend, an old Halo horror story from back in the day, the Ghost of Lockout. Basically, in the early era of the internet, some guy posted a video called The Ghost of Lockout that showed some rather strange and kind of half-broken white Spartan spawn into his custom game on Lockout. But this Spartan wasn't controlled by a player, nobody was invited to the game, and well, his movement was strange and erratic and frankly inhuman, which all led people to believe that Lockout was in fact a haunted map, its hallways patrolled by this soulless husk of a Spartan. The Ghost of Lockout is one of Halo's earliest and most iconic urban legends, and that leads us to the mod in question. This is the Haunting of Lockout by Floundering Moth, a Halo experience unlike anything that I have ever covered before. As the level begins, you load in, and it just seems like a good old-fashioned regular Lockout AI battle, albeit complete with Spartans and elites that have the colorings of their Halo 2 beta counterparts, which I thought was pretty cool, but it seems pretty regular besides that. But after a while of mindless slaying, you'll notice that one of the facility's antennas is weirdly flashing red, and besides it is a Tri-Gate control panel. So you go over to it, you hit activate, a sound plays, and the antenna light goes out and moves to the antenna on the lift tower. So you head over there, you find the second Tri-Gate panel in the lift shaft, activate it, and the same thing happens again. A sound plays, the light goes out, and it moves to the sniper tower antenna. So you go over, blow the fusion coils to reveal the third Tri-Gate panel and activate it. But this time, it plays a different sound. Almost as if a gate opened somewhere on the map. Then, at the bottom of the BR tower, spawns the ghost himself. The actual Ghost of Lockout spawns on the map. He's surrounded by this strange, glitchy aura, has insane accuracy, especially with plasma grenades, Herculean shields, and the aggression of, well, Tartarus on steroids. The entire map turns their attention and starts to fight him, but he cuts through them like butter. He also, for some reason, seems to emit drum and bass. Quite sure why he does that. But despite his immense strength, you focus fire and begin to weaken him, and as you do, the map itself starts to succumb to his glitchiness, almost like in losing his power, he's taking the very fabric of existence with him. Then, if you ever get lucky, like I did, and actually manage to kill him, after quite some time granted, the game breaks the fourth wall and tells you that with the haunting exercised, it is now safe to turn off your device. Very Kojima Psycho Mantis core, I like that. All in all, the Haunting of Lockout is a small yet awesome homage to one of the most iconic Halo phenomena of all time. Honestly, the concept of turning the Ghost of Lockout into a playable boss fight level is such a cool original idea, and the way that it's been executed on, with the secret Tri-Gate buttons hidden around the map and their location being hinted at purely through environmental cues, feels like such an authentic translation of that old school Halo conspiracy theory vibe that was so rife in the early years of the internet. Turning an urban legend into a playable level experience is such a genius idea. Absolutely give this level a try. So, Altis94 is a modder who is no stranger to any of my mod videos. The two levels of his that I've covered in the past, I consider to be two of the greatest custom Halo levels ever made, bar none. And he's back today with something that's very different to his usual stuff.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Look, a Mark V.
Welcome to Warthog Rally, a fully comprehensive Halo driving game built, of course, in Halo 1. And when I say comprehensive, I mean comprehensive. So it's one level broken down into several different racetracks, and that level is in fact a really early Halo 2 level that Bungie concepted in Halo 1's Blam engine, one that I actually covered last year when the dig site team originally found it. The level is called M1 Assault. On this level, like I said, are a number of different tracks, which you select in the spawn room using this really intuitive screen that basically acts as the game's main menu. Each track has a bronze, silver, and gold par time that you have to beat to unlock trophies. 1 trophy for bronze, 2 for silver, and 3 for gold. And these trophies act as a form of currency for unlocking new vehicles. Yes, this driving sim built in Halo 1's engine even has a progression and unlock system. ODST really does it all. As you can see, there's a huge variety of vehicles to unlock, from early cut alternate versions of the Warthog, to of course the Mongoose, to a variety of motorbikes, an IFV, and even the Viper tank. Then, once you've chosen your vehicle, you select the enemies that you want to spawn on the track. From nothing at all, which is of course the easier choice, to just a few Covenant, and then there's Total Chaos mode, which is what I chose to play for the most part. This spawns Thorn Beasts, Rockworms, and tons of other cut Halo 1 wildlife which have been fully restored to screw your run up in the best way possible. There's also loads of Covenant scattered about as well, who oftentimes will interact with this wildlife, again in rather interesting ways. Seriously, the Rockworms? They screwed my run up several times. And to counter these enemies, you then select your allies, from nobody to light marines, heavy marines, and even a medic. But depending on the vehicle that you choose, they aren't going to be the only ones dealing some damage. So with the standard Warthog, the default one, you can actually shoot whilst driving out the driver's side door with whichever weapons you take in, which I gotta say is a really cool little touch. For how kind of unserious Warthog Rally seems at times, it's actually a really well put together experience, which granted I do kind of expect from ODST at this point. That's kind of his quality bar. I mean, the fact that a rally game built in Halo 1 has unlockable items and a currency system is insane, and how seamlessly it all works with Halo assets, and some Halo adjacent assets as well, is just so damn cool. Go and give Warthog Rally a go and get grinding 15 trophies to unlock that beautiful Viper tank. Just make sure that you play it on Total Chaos difficulty. Trust me when I say that it's worth it solely to see what the Rockworms do when they catch you. Now, this next mod is frankly just iconic at this point. It's a mod that takes one of the best parts of the book, The Flood, and translates it to gameplay, and it does so excellently, creating an entirely new campaign in the process. This is the Zuka Zamamee campaign. So, if you somehow don't know, well, throughout the events of Halo 1, Master Chief is actually being stalked by an elite with orders from a prophet to assassinate him. For the entirety of the game, this elite and his grunt sidekick, called Yayap, are one step behind you, constantly just missing their opportunity to strike. This elite is called Zuka Zamamee, and now we finally get to experience Zuka's story firsthand. Now, I will say, the story isn't a one-to-one translation of Zuka's story in the book. In fact, the creator himself even says that he adapted the story to fit with the levels of Halo 1 more, but even still, it's a really great experience regardless. That said though, it does open just like Zuka's canon story opens, with the raid on the Pillar of Autumn. You lead a contingent of grunts alongside several other squads of Covenant to find and capture the captain of this ship, slaughtering endless humans in the process. Some of these humans even get so scared by your alpha elite presence that they're terrified into T-posing. But as you close in on the captain, you're met by a dead end, and then when you turn around to find an alternate path, you find your way is blocked by a group of Marines, and then suddenly you're hit over the head and knocked out cold by Master Chief. Yep, this is a translation of this scene in the vanilla game, which I gotta say is pretty cool, and it's not the only instance of this kind of thing happening. But you're soon awoken by a brave grunt who actually carries you into a life pod, and you crash down to the surface of Alpha Halo as the Master Chief watches, in what is the first of a couple custom cinematics based on moments of dialogue or little vignettes that occur ordinarily during gameplay in the vanilla game, which again is really, really cool. After the crash, you regain consciousness to find that all your grunt buddies are dead, besides one, Yayap, your new best friend. So, as you set off, you very luckily, in fact, run into the captain and his squad, and after wiping out his defense squad, a chase ensues through the valley that finishes at a dead end. A super fortified UNSC FOB where the captain has gone to hide, but it's no matter. You break in and begin slaughtering the humans within, and after not too long, you find yourself reinforced by a ton of zealots and Spec Ops elites, all here to secure the human captain.
We win!
So, with keys now captured, level 2 opens with Zuka at the helm of his holding cell, when suddenly, your elite allies in the room start dying, all falling victim to a backsmack seemingly out of nowhere, and you eventually meet the same fate, once again falling unconscious at the hand of, camoed Master Chief. You awake once again courtesy of Yayap to all the holding cells now being open and the prisoners, including the captain, being freed, and so you both rush after them. When you reach the bridge, you realise they're stealing a spirit, and so you double time it to the hangar bay but arrive just too late, just in time to see Keys crush the two hunters with the spirit. With another failure under your belt, spoilers, the first of many, the story then jumps to the Silent Cartographer, where Zuka arrives in a lance of spirits after the humans' first assault on the island. In fact, the lance that you arrive with is actually the very same lance that the Marines radio Chief about when you're descending down the Cartographer. You can hear it over the comms.
Full hammer to ground teams, you've got 2 enemy dropships coming in fast! Damn it. Okay people, we got company coming, let's set the table, engage enemy forces on site!
And so, when it lands, alongside your Covenant allies, you wipe the floor with the resistance force that Chief left behind to defend the beachhead. With the beach now secure, the local zealot arrives to issue orders, actually getting in an argument with Zuka, which is then broken up by Yayap. He's actually tapped into one of the UNSC's terminals and has intercepted Cortana's communications.
Cortana to Captain Keys.
The captain has dropped out of contact, Cortana.
So, with this new intel, the Zealot orders you to cut the demon off by heading to the security station and re-locking the doors to trap him inside the Cartographer, which you attempt, but once again, fail. And so, with the demon now escaping in a pelican, you rush outside to try and stop him from heading down to the control room, but yet again, the weight of your heresy stays your feet, and you fail once more. But all is not lost. Yayap intercepts yet another UNSC message, this time from Pelican Victor 933, about Captain Keys being captured by hostiles and the Marines being dug in a large swamp. And so, wasting no time, Zuka hops in a Banshee and sets a course for this mysterious swamp location. The third level then opens in this swamp with a squad of troops led by a Zealot under attack from an unknown force, before then panning to Zuka arriving through the canopy in his Banshee. You land next to a lance of jackals who almost seem to be cowering against a hillside, refusing to move or lower their shields, and when you head off into the fog, they begin to open fire, and when you return, they're all dead, and there's no sign of what killed them. Anyway, you move to link up with the Zealot commander, but when you reach his position, almost everyone is dead. The only survivors are a handful of grunts who've gone crazy and opened fire on you, and one grunt who's so panicked he's trying to wield an energy sword. Poor guy. This area of the swamp is entirely new geometry by the looks of it. It's actually a really cool area, and it's also full of Easter eggs if you venture off the beaten path. Like here, for example, I waded through these bushes and found a flamethrower, or here, I pushed through these bushes and found not just a Macworld SMG, but also a life pod with a dead Macworld chief inside. Pretty cool. But then you spot a light through the fog, what looks to be a secret backdoor entrance to the facility the humans were after, so you head inside. Upon descending, you head through a bunch of new rooms in the facility that eventually connect to the rooms that we're used to, and the Flood are of course revealed. With the outbreak beginning, Zuka contacts Yayap for extraction, but the grunt reveals that the demon is currently in the facility. So, you hatch a plan. You head to the surface and blow what you believe to be the final working escape elevator, effectively trapping Chief in with the Flood. This is meant to be the elevator that you can find optionally on 343 Guilty Spark that blows up in the shaft, which again is another cool moment of an Easter egg in game linking in with this story. But of course, as we know, Zuka's plan here ultimately fails because Chief just finds another working elevator and escapes. But thinking that he'd just doomed the demon to a parasitic fate, Zuka heads out to rendezvous with Yayap's evac ship. He gathers with a large group of desperate and rather bewildered Covenant survivors in the middle of the swamp, some so desperate in fact that they're even armed with human weapons, and holds out against endless hordes of infected whilst they wait for the evac ship. When it arrives, what few survivors now remain rush up the hill, but as infected numbers grow, the rather cowardly spirit pilot takes off with just you on board, leaving the rest of the survivors to perish in the swamp. He then drops you off in the snowy canyons of the control room, which has been seized by the humans, and the 4th level begins. He drops both you and Yayap off in a shadow to push you the canyon and take the control room back, wiping out all humans and infected in the process. And you know, I gotta say, for a grunt, Yayap's actually a pretty damn good gunner. After clearing the first valley, you have an interesting altercation underground with 2 UNSC Kestrels, which is a pretty unique fight, I've gotta say, and then push through the second valley and part ways with Yayap before heading inside. Of course, he's staying outside to secure the entrance. Most of the hallways inside have already been locked down by the Covenant, but that changes when you reach the control room, which is under total human control. You link up with an elite Zealot-led Jackal sniper squad, all armed with particle rifles, and have a shoot-off with a large contingent of UNSC snipers across the gorge on the control room. And you quickly make it to the blast doors. And then, alongside a large contingent of allies, you wipe out all the Marines that the Master Chief left behind. And for the first time in this entire story, and only time, mind you, Zuka and Yayap actually claim victory. The control room is secured and under Covenant control. And with that, the 5th and final level commences. You leave the control room and arrive with a Spec Ops squad on the Truth and Reconciliation as Chief's rampage to save his captain is still ongoing. And after a rather strange and very, I'm sure, canonical interaction with the one and only Caboose...
You found me! Excellent. Okay, now it's my turn. You go hide and I will find you.
You head off to slay the demon once and for all, wading through the aftermath of his destruction in the halls of this ship. Nearing the bridge, you link up with the Spec Ops squad who ambush him at the bridge, and yes, again, this is the squad who open the doors right after you punch Key's skull in. But once again, it all goes south. The Spartan knocks you unconscious, and Yayap, unlike in the regular canon, actually dies here. But once again, you regain consciousness and rush back to the hangar to pursue Chief as he escapes in a Banshee, all the way to the Pillar of Autumn, where outside, you shoot his Banshee down, but then break off to go and help the local commander secure an outpost in the hangar bay. With the local infected taken care of, the Zealot commander sends you on your final mission. It's time to finally assassinate the demon. You're redeployed to the Warthog Run area, where an emergency message then comes over the Covenant BattleNet. The Spartan is planning on destroying the ship, and with it, the Holy Ring. So now, all local forces have been redirected to take him out. So, you rendezvous with a small squad of Spec Ops grunts and descend down a service elevator to his position. But then, the perspective changes. Now, clearly, it was meant to shift to Chief's POV, but for some reason, the biped and the arms are still Zuka Zamamee, so I'm guessing this is a weird hybrid elite Spartan scenario, but regardless, you play through this section as supposedly Master Chief and his fateful encounter with Zuka, where canonically he, well, absolutely obliterates the poor elite, and he watches as he fails his final mission and falls victim to his ultimate prey. As Zuka bleeds out on the floor, some rather strange, sad music plays as the screen very slowly fades to black, and Zuka Zamamee's story ends as it progressed, in failure. And that is Dr. K. Steele's Zuka Zamamee campaign. Honestly, I think my favourite thing about this mod is, despite it not being a fully canon retelling of Zuka and Yayap's story, just how well it integrates into Halo 1's campaign. I mean, the fact that you not only get to experience a load of vanilla encounters from the opposite perspective, but that those encounters are given a load of new context and meaning pertaining to Zuka's story, kind of in a similar vein to how William C. Dietz integrated them in The Flood, is just so damn cool. Well, that and of course the fact that you actually get to play as Zuka Zamamee. The obvious is awesome as well. Give this mod a download. I guarantee you won't regret it. Okay, so this next one is for any of you out there who at any point in your life have been playing Halo 2 and have thought to yourself, hey, I wonder if the Covenant have gone to play bingo. This bona fide masterpiece is simply named Leon Kennedy Head, made by Iduzi. And it does exactly what it says on the tin, to be honest. It replaces Master Chief's iconic Mark 6 helmet with the head of Resident Evil 4 Leon Kennedy. Now, if, like me, Resident Evil 4 happens to be one of your hyperfixations, then, well, this mod might just be the mod for you. And you know what? Thinking about it, canonically, I actually think this mod makes a lot of sense. Hear me out. So, Leon and Chief both have one major character-defining trait in common: their love of iconic one-liners.
Yes, sir. I need a weapon.
Right this way.
No thanks, bro.
Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship?
Sir, finishing this fight.
Women.
And at least in the games, we've never seen Master Chief's full face, so who's to say that under that gold visage isn't just for Leon Kennedy? So, if you ask me, this mod actually makes a whole lot of canonical sense. So, next up we have a mod that I am incredibly long overdue in covering. I should have covered this years ago, and frankly, I really don't know why I didn't, but given the recent announcement, I figured now was probably the perfect time. I'm talking about Kashira's Halo 3 Combat Evolved remake. If you've been living under a rock and haven't seen or heard anything about this mod yet, then, well, it's an extremely high quality remake of Halo 1 done in the Halo 3 ODST version of the Halo 3 engine. But unfortunately, Kashira recently ended development on it, so the only levels that we're going to get are the ones that we already have: Truth and Reconciliation and Keys. But god damn are these levels good. She really went out of her way to recreate the style of Halo 1 as much as possible in Halo 3. The HUD is, of course, as close to the original as possible, even complete with a fully functioning health system, yes, with health packs as well. The weapons, although they used their Halo 3 models, almost all reused their original sound effects and also functionality. So the AR is, yes, as you'd expect in Halo 1, a 60-round AR. The Elites and Jackals are both modern recreations of their Halo 1 counterparts as well, among many other features. Things that the official remake of Halo 1 couldn't even get right. You know, it's quite funny, this remake is actually done in a really similar style to Campaign Evolved. So it's a remake of Halo 1 done on a different yet pre-existing version of Halo's engine, and although it too reuses some assets from other Halo games, so much more care has been put into making those assets feel like they belong in a Halo 1 experience. And clearly the result is a remake that, yeah, despite not strictly using just Halo 1 assets, still feels like a faithful Halo 1 experience. A similar level of care has been put into the overall soundscape as well. Almost all the voice lines and the music are reused fittingly, and even some of the ambient sound effects from the levels and the environment seem to pop up again as well, which is a little detail that I really appreciate. I really like the lighting on Truth and Reconciliation, specifically how dark it is. You have both a flashlight and also a visor night vision mode as well, of course, given that it's in the ODST engine, it'd be kind of rude not to. And both really add to the overall mood of the level as you canonically insert into the ship with ODSTs. And then in Keys, these systems get expanded upon with an intel dossier and also a fully functioning TAC map as well, which I thought was such a cool addition that I never knew I needed. Just makes the overall mission to go back to the ship and save Keys feel that bit more tactical. When you breach the Truth and Reconciliation, of course, all the interiors are in the style of Halo 3's Covenant interiors, which, yeah, doesn't quite have the flair of Halo 1's, I gotta be honest, but it still does the job, and it is helped a ton by the lighting as well. Honestly, the Halo 3 ODST engine being used for this was such a good move, because the lighting in that engine is amazing, and it's used just perfectly in this mod. As you explore the ship, you run into some familiar friends. The iconic Halo 1 power-ups are back, and they look gorgeous. From a gameplay perspective, they're designed like Halo 3's equipment, so you can pick them up and store them in your back pocket and pop them whenever you want, instead of just having them instantly activate. But to be honest, I don't even care. I'm just looking at them. Look at them. They look so good. How can you ever say no to these things, man? They are the coolest designs ever. Now, a small yet really cool new detail that I noticed that Kashira's added here is haptic feedback, specifically for your health. So normally in Halo 1, when you're low on health, as in like the actual health bars, you can hear Chief's heartbeat beating heavier in his helmet, but now you can literally feel those laboured heartbeats with a subtle vibration in your controller. You know, it's the little details like that that really add to an experience. Haptic feedback for Chief's heartbeat? What a cool idea. As for the cutscenes, they're mostly the same, but with a few little changes here and there, and I gotta say, I really like the way that she's directed them. The opening shot of the cinematic where you save keys, for example, where it pans out from the dead body of the elite zealot slumped against the wall, is a really nice little touch. And of course, she's also kept the upside down inverse coordinates gag on keys as well, because frankly, getting rid of that would be sacrilege. That upside down section is a staple of that level. And you know, actually, speaking of keys, the atmosphere on this level is also amazing. Firstly, there's biomass everywhere, both inside the ship and also some gathering on the walls of the canyon beneath as well. As you go deeper into the ship, you pass through a few hallways where the infection has really begun to spread, and the result is, frankly, a total vibe shift. The ship already feels damaged and consumed and frankly just overrun with infected, but these hallways genuinely look and feel like hell. They're drowning in this red haze that invokes, well, literally, it invokes hell, and there's biomass everywhere. I think, honestly, I prefer this atmosphere for a Flood Hive to what we got in Cortana in Halo 3. The colour palette shift here adds a layer of horror and terror that we've never really had before. The atmosphere in the canyons is amazing as well, both visually with the dark oppressive lighting and also from an audio perspective as well. The flood screams and roars that echo through the valley are that little bit more scary now that it's that much darker down here. And then, of course, the cherry on top of keys is the Proto-Gravemind, which looks, expectedly, awesome as well. In fact, the entire bridge looks really good as well. The Proto-Gravemind isn't just kind of standing there on the pad now on its own, it's actually connected to growing piles of biomass on the ceiling and around the room, which genuinely make this bridge feel like the nerve center of this rapidly evolving flood outbreak. So overall, despite just being 2 levels, Halo 3 Combat Evolved is absolutely worth playing, for the atmosphere of both those levels alone, to be honest. The reuse of some Halo 3 assets almost becomes unnoticeable past a certain point because of how faithfully they've been integrated into the Halo 1 levels. And you know, the result is a remake that, yeah, feels absolutely fresh and new, but simultaneously deeply authentic. Just how a remake should. Okay, this next one is probably going to seem quite small and insignificant at first, but trust me, it's an example of one of those small details that, when added, really improves the overall experience. So, one of the defining traits of ODST's atmosphere is, of course, the rain. It's one of the core building blocks of the film noir tone of Mombasa streets, and it really helps to cement the cold, lonely vibes of Rookie's journey through this abandoned city in the dead of night. However, you may have noticed that in vanilla ODST, there actually isn't that much rain at all, and what little rain there is certainly isn't that immersive. Unfortunately, Bungie were heavily limited by the hardware of the 360 when it came to implementing weather effects, and so in-game, it really isn't that noticeable. But thanks to Gold Athena's ODST True Rain mod, that is no longer the case. This mod does exactly what it says on the tin. It heavily increases the rain and rain effects, specifically on Mombasa streets, far beyond the capabilities of the Xbox 360, and I gotta say, the outcome is a significantly more immersive New Mombasa. The now inclement weather actually feels quite oppressive at times, from an audio perspective, where it's now far more present in the soundscape of the city, but also from a visual perspective as well. It's so heavy that it seems to cause a kind of excessive bloom when looking at things, especially bright billboards and streetlights off in the distance. It genuinely feels like your visor's fogging up a little bit because of the condensation, and you know, you'd be surprised how much more imposing this lack of distant visual clarity actually makes the world feel, especially in the dead of night. And just to add a little cherry on top, the water now gathers into puddles on the road and the sidewalks, a tiny yet realistic touch that makes the change feel that bit more authentic. This is how I always imagined Bungie wanted Mombasa streets to feel. It ramps up the film noir tone and makes the world feel that bit more lonely and desolate. And truth be told, I don't know if I could ever go back to vanilla Mombasa streets after playing it. Definitely give ODST True Rain a try. Trust me, you are never going to want to go back to vanilla ODST again after playing this. The vibes, with inclement weather and excessive rain, are just too damn comfy. And so that's just about all the mods that I can cram into this mod showcase video. There are hundreds of others that I really wanted to cover, but for the sake of time and having a video that's not 17 hours long, I had to keep it to these ones. But don't worry, those bad boys are going to be covered in a future video. Make sure you go and download all the mods that I featured in this video, of course, links down below in the description, and also make sure you go and check out the official Halo Mod 2025 showcase video as well, and go show some support to the mod community, because they do a lot of the heavy lifting with Halo nowadays, to put it lightly, so go and show them some support. With that said, I'm going to round this one out there. I want to give a huge thank you to KxngThaGreat for becoming a new iconic one over on Patreon. Bro, thank you very, very much. That is very, very generous. Welcome to the iconic ranks of the iconic ones, I guess. Welcome. Thank you very much. And also, huge thank you to everybody else who continues to support me over there as per usual. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll catch you all in the next one.